Every time, I just sit there for a moment with this puzzled, perplexed look on my face. But I am disabled, I think. So why is that such a bad thing to say? Why is the word disabled so offensive? Why does it seem to make people, especially non-disabled people, so incredibly uncomfortable to the point where they literally hate the word? These are the kinds of questions that I think about a lot, because people's reaction to such an innocuous word is one of utter disgust. Think the vomit emoji come to life. I can practically hear the gasps of shock and horror wafting through my computer screen. Remember that scene in A Christmas Story where Ralphie's mom catches him swearing? A look of pure abject horror immediately washes over her face, and she's so shocked that she makes Ralphie wash his mouth out with a gigantic bar of soap. That's how I feel every time I use the word disabled. Like people want to punish me with a bar of soap because I uttered a bad word. The names we use to refer to disabled people matter, and there's no better place to start a discussion about what it means to be disabled in the United States in the 21st century than to discuss the word itself. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines disabled as impaired or limited by a physical, mental, cognitive, or developmental condition. The definition is literally a descriptor. That's it. It's a fact, and simply describes a state of being, like saying I have red hair, I do, or saying my mom has big feet, she does. The word disabled, by its very definition, makes no value judgment of any kind. Nowhere in the definition does it say that disabled is a derogatory term or that using it is offensive and inappropriate. Nowhere does it say synonym bad. And yet, we see antiquated terms like those in the collections earlier still used regularly in our modern world every day. Special education and handicap sticker, for example. They continue to permeate our lives, so it's easy to see how people absorb them and just stay in the habit of using them, without even thinking about how harmful these words are. Similarly, when you hear the word disabled, what comes to mind? Maybe you picture someone bedridden and frail? Or maybe you think of someone who can't take care of themselves or even leave the house? Maybe you imagine someone sitting in a wheelchair, a blanket draped over their legs, as they look out the window sorrowfully and watch the world pass them by? If you've had any of these thoughts, you're not alone. This is still the pervasive view of what disabled is and isn't. It's incredible to me that such a reductive, antiquated, dehumanizing perspective has persisted for so long, and that these views have taken such a powerful hold as to taint the word itself. Please, and I cannot stress this enough, don't use those euphemisms I mentioned. For starters, they're inaccurate. I'm not a person with special needs because my needs as a disabled person aren't special. They're needs, period. Framing them as special implies that they're optional, a bonus, or an add-on, and views them through the non-disabled lens, where the needs of non-disabled people are normal, while the needs of disabled people are abnormal. A binary that just further others the disability community. And the terms differently abled and handy-capable, those are the most condescending and patronizing expressions I've ever heard in my life. They're incredibly insulting to disabled people, especially when you say them to disabled adults. When people leave me comments on social media about how I shouldn't say disabled and try to sell me on one of those euphemisms, I sometimes picture how that scenario would play out if it happened in real life. I imagine the person kneeling down to my level to explain the concept to me, in an attempt to soften the idea of disabilities to me. You know, as if it were a foreign concept to me, an actual disabled person. Not to mention that I'm a full-grown adult, so the entire encounter, whether online or in real life, is just plain bizarre, and reminds me of how adults sometimes use simpler words and language to explain complex ideas to a child. But again, I'm not a child.